Well, spoiler alert. Actually, I didn't mean you guys to see my desktop, but now it's already done. So even though you guys are not interested to know why I had to reboot my laptop, but I had to enable the graphics chip that powers the VGA port, otherwise it won't show. So after this is done now, okay. That slide deck looks familiar, right? Okay. This is much better. Okay. Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is JD. I'm the head of IT operations in Foundation University in Dumaguete City. Also a warm welcome from me. Thanks for coming today. It's really nice to be here and being able to talk to you guys. First things first, who has watched my first talk back on the MUM of 2000, of the MUM back in December 2014, also here in Manila? Okay, okay, that's definitely the minority. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about myself that much. I don't really like to do that. I'm basically, here are 3 things that you need to know about me. I'm a sysadmin by heart, I'm a security enthusiast, and I'm a nerd. Okay, so these are the obvious things, right? So then if you'd like to connect to me as well, same as with Cliff, you can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. My username over there is JAYDIO. Okay, so if you, obviously most of you haven't seen the first part of this talk, so you should go online. This is a tiny URL link, obviously. It leads you all the way back to the recording of the first session back in 2014. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about now is based on the talk back in, from 2014. So there will be a few gaps. You will be missing some information that you need to understand the full picture. But I'll try to explain as much as possible. So what am I going to do today is, because back in 2014 during the first part, I was not able to give you a live presentation because from multitude of reasons, but mainly because the connection was too slow. Luckily, we're now in Marco Polo, and I'm going to say the same thing as Cliff. Luckily, we have a stable connection, and I can even connect my VPN from here. Very nice. And so what I'm aiming for today is give you an update on what happened since 2014. And our talk today is about how to implement a university backbone using MikroTik's Cloud Core series, which is not quite accurate because I make this a full statement about what happens at Foundation, which I find is fairly interesting. So if you have any questions during the talk, please feel free to raise your hands, then we can integrate that and we don't have to do the Q&A at the very end. All right, so this is how we do it. So this is one of the installations in one of our data centers. What you see is a 10 gigabit core router and one of our uplink routers connecting us to the outside world, and some other stuff down here like you know, MPLS endpoints from Globe and PLDT and such. And so you will find some of this information in the first talk already, but I'm just going to give you a quick recap. So we're the home of the Greyhounds. We're actually, I'm tempted to look at that projector over there all the time. It's really irritating. So we're based in Dumaguete. Our overall student population is around 3,000. And fairly interesting, I also mentioned that back in the days, back in 2014, we're actually the first university in the Philippines that implements the iPad program. That's basically for mobility computing as part of our high school and grade school. So all our students are basically required to have an iPad. And again, my personal sentiments to that are, I'm not a friend of Apple, but we can discuss that after the talk, okay? So we're also, this is quite nice to know about us, because we have an environmental advocacy. So we've been elected last year from, I don't know how many universities. Anyway, we got the regional and national champion in Search for Sustainable and Eco-Friendly Schools 2015. That's a nationwide award. It's nice to know. I just found it cool to put it in there. And, sorry, I can't hear you guys. Wow. Thank you, thank you. So, and in 2014, we were aiming to become a MikroTik Academy. And as of this year, it's done. We actually finished the memorandum of agreement and all that stuff, and Mani is dancing back there. Hi, how you doing? That's great, okay. And now we are a MikroTik Academy, so now Foundation University, same as the Mindanao State, also offers the MikroTik Academy program. So, I show you some pictures, what we do in order to advocate and promote MikroTik at our university as well as outside the university. You see us with a few students in our router lab. And this is during the exhibit last year in February where we started to promote the program. We basically, what we did is we put together a mobile showcase with some of the hardware that we had for production deployment. You can see a CCR over there on top. A few RB951G, and down there is CRS, and some other gear like an RB2011 and a Brocade switch. And yeah, we took this all the way to Robinson's, and this was our setup that we actually gave to the people when they asked questions. The first thing that I attempted to do was we had this laminated, right? And I took it and I went like, this is what you need to know about the setup. And before they were even able to ask me the first question, there were tons of other questions. So we generated a lot of feedback this way, and they were really, really interested to know how MikroTik actually fits into this picture. So yeah, this is our booth. So we had the setup right here. And since we wanted to attract mainly young students, right? So what did we do? We didn't give like dry talks about it and all this kind of stuff. No, we actually took a few of our ThinkPad laptops and just positioned them there, plugged them all to the different networks that you were able to see here. So one laptop was connected over here, another one here, another one here, here, and here. And we visualized all this traffic that was going over the wire while they were playing games and stuff, and they were really curious about that. So it's actually, you can barely see that, but there's another laptop on top that was basically on all the time, and it showed traffic graphs and all kinds of other cool stuff. So you probably know this guy. That was the guy from 2 o'clock, sorry. This is Zeldi, that's Chico. And yeah, this is all on the booth. And actually, when we actually ran out of people to ask questions, we sent Cliff out there with free hugs. So, and it worked, it was pretty good. Okay, so who are we? Also still part of the first talk from back from 2014, just a little heads up. My team is an internal workforce. At Foundation, we do everything internally, so we do not have external contractors. We build our own buildings, we do our own network, we pull our own fiber. Splicing partially we do ourselves as well, but the equipment is fairly expensive, so we have to borrow it from one of our partners. And I'll get to that later. And we are responsible for the campus network and data services. So we do everything that's IT and ICT related in order to keep the university operation going. And also what happened since last year, we actually started, together with one of our partners, we started being an active ISP, an internet service provider in the southern part of the island. So when you have a BPO and you want to outsource to Dumaguete, just make sure to drop by our office and we're going to get you set up. So how we do this, we actually do the last mile in Dumaguete through a separate fiber optical grid for one of our partners. And we actually connected quite a few BPOs already and also smaller businesses back to the university. We do software development in-house as well, and we do the 24/7 infrastructure management. So we always have people on call. We have a ticket system where people can actually send us requests. We have an emergency hotline that is redundant, that routes calls to cell phones, for example, to my cell phone if ever no one at the office is picking up. And we have this VoIP-based as well as hardline, so analog line-based. So one more time, this is the team. We're currently actually have to count. Can you believe that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're 9 people. That's great, right? And yeah, this is the IT operations team, and all these guys are very great. And I'm really lucky to have this team. And yeah, I wish we had the chance to introduce the rest of the guys here as well, because they're all pretty frantic about MikroTik as well. So. Also back in 2014, I hate saying that, but I need to, so for you to understand, we did some, I did give you some operational metrics. So what is the university doing, how many devices are connected, etc., etc. So I updated these numbers for you. And since we don't have the old slides, since you didn't watch the talk, I put the old numbers here and grayed them out a little bit to put the focus on the new numbers. So, so what do we see here? We have devices on the left, then we have the current utilization, and then we have the predicted utilization for the K-12 implementation for the initial phase. So right now we have, back in 2014, we had around 800 mobile devices. Now, frequently per day when classes are going on, we see about 1,100 devices on the network. And obviously it's pretty flexible, right? So we still have about roughly 350 wired workstations. We have about 300, more than 300 infrastructure devices. We have around 250 devices for ISP side. That's actually one-to-one traffic, so that's how many devices we have on the ISP side. That's not just per router. We do not have 250 subscribers, don't get me wrong. All right, so, and here's the part that is really interesting, because our primary uplink before was 100 Mbps, right? And we actually had this one with PLDT with their SME, the small business section, right? So, and we ran into lots of trouble with them. So for the first 6 months, the link was stable. After that, every 1 or 2 weeks, pure downtime. It was like a freaking blackout, and we didn't get any feedback. We could call their service line, and it started with the fact that you cannot call their service lines, I'm not sure if that's still the case, from a globe landline. So you need to get a smartphone number in order to call their internal, it's like 141, right? I was like, Jesus, I'm sorry. What's wrong with you guys? I mean, if I have a globe phone, I'm not gonna go out there, get another phone or a smart SIM card in order to call you guys. That's just a no-go. And we subscribe fiber. We do not have an analog circuit here. We cannot call you. So anyway, and after a while, so we paid good money for that. Okay, we paid really good money. I know that you can feel our pain. I know that. I can see this in your faces. Everyone's nodding in here. It is great. It was really a pleasure to have this link. So we decided to go with Globe. We thought, hey, it couldn't be any worse, right? And yeah, it was right. It wasn't any worse. So we switched over to Globe Innov after 2 months of really extensive testing and getting our public address space assigned again, blah blah blah. This entire thing, and so we switched PLDT with Globe for the moment because it's almost 50% cheaper, okay? 50% for the same bandwidth allocation. Okay, so bandwidth requirements, however, since 2014 have gone up by 150%, and this is really just for the regular network utilization, but this is without the labs, this is without, it's simply not enough. 100 Mbps for 3,000 people plus ISP is not enough. So the way we manage this is with quality of service, obviously, and instead of 40,000 flows, we have about 65,000 flows frequently. So you can see we're basically going up the ladder, so it scales exponentially. So, are there any questions in regards to this before we continue? Okay, So you're all bored. That's good. Okay, so let's take a look at the fun part. So I want to talk today a little bit about the tool chains that we use at Foundation. And together, I just don't want to give you slides, okay, because slides are pretty boring. So I'm going to give you a live demonstration. I'm logged into the university network right now, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that we do in order to get operational metrics and how you can do this for your own network as well. And we start with the open monitoring distribution. So in order to basically monitor our network, routers, switches, sensors, cameras, access points, etc., we're using the open monitoring distribution. It's an open source project that combines a lot of nice open source monitoring tools that are out there for quite a while already. So the cool thing about OMD is it combines everything in one nicely bundled package. So you install it on your server, and everything you have to do is type OMD create, then your site name, and you're up and running. Obviously, in reality, it's a little bit more, it's a bit harder to get everything working the way you want, but that is basically everything that you need to get you started. So what do we have here? OMD actually incorporates CheckMK, which is being developed by Matthias Kettner back in Germany, so it's a German project, but with international reach. We have CheckMK multi-site, which is the web interface for this CheckMK. Then we have NegiUS. NegiUS is for visualization. You can put together dynamic or static network maps, and you can position all your hosts on it, do traffic visualization. And yeah, well, we're just going to go through it. The most important part is we do our route monitoring with this. So we monitor the availability of our internet uplinks with it. And whenever, by the end of the month, we had downtime, we generate a report for that time frame. We send it over to our ISP and say, rebates. That's what we do. And this is quite important because sometimes we really have like the latest outage. We can just check it out later on the interface. But the latest outage is about 3 weeks ago, and it was 26 hours. Exactly. That's exactly the face that I did. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to know how many people called me. It was nice. It was really the best. It was the best Sunday in my life. So, and we also do interface statistics and visualization. And since we're using SNMP, we can do this literally with any network device that supports any version of SNMP. Version 1, 2C, which is the community version, as well as 3. So, I think it's time for the demo, so I need to put this microphone down. Hang on. All right, let's see if we can get this started here. I'm trying not to give you any, not too much of this geeky stuff, but where's this? I can show you real quick. So it's my routing table, and currently I'm actually logged in to our VPN, and this is actually, these are the 2 routes that are pointing at the VPN tunnel. So these are our 2 university net blocks. So this is all routed over to the university. So we'll start with our OMD installation, so I'm just going to quickly lock in. Wait, that was not right. Yeah, that will do. All right, so when you log into OMD for the first time, just real quick, you have all these graphical tools combined, so basically here on one view. What we're going to start with is the CheckMK multi-site. Oh, you don't see any? Oh my goody. Hang on a second. That's great. So let's just revert for a second. I'm just going to mirror my screen for you guys. That will mess up everything, but it will work. Okay. All right, just going to keep this one for a second. And something must have happened here. We have a lot of outages. Okay. All right. Okay, just going to zoom out a bit, tricking the resolution. So, all right, so this is the first thing that you see when you log into OMD. So you have a few options. We're going to select the CheckMK multi-site, and what you'll actually see, and it's on this resolution, it looks a little bit messy. I'm sorry for that. What you'll actually see is, once it's loaded completely, yeah, you see a lot of red. That's most important. It's a monitoring system, and it does its job, so it shows you that something is down. Okay, so let's start that way. Okay, so these are a few client sites. The guys are already working on that, I guess, I hope. So, no, it looks like it's a brownout. Yeah, definitely. High school is down as well because that's the broken UPS that was not replaced yet. So yeah, so probably let's just face it, there are brownouts, okay, and there's nothing we can do about it. And okay, so this tool is pretty cool. So the first thing that you see here is you have a list of service problems on the top, you have a list of host problems down on the left, and here on the left side you have a host matrix, so that gives you a basic overview, a visual overview of what's really going on in your network right now. So it's just like, okay, visually you can say, what 10%, maybe 15% of the network right now are affected. But right now, as I said, it's nothing to worry. Everything is fine, even though it's red. So, all right. So down here on the right side, this is a dynamic dashboard, by the way. So you can freely arrange this. I'm not going to do this right now on this resolution. It really doesn't make any sense. But you can see the traffic graph for our globe connection over here. And since I'm opening another tab right now, hang on a second. There we go. So, and since we are actually, since the summer classes have started again on Monday, the traffic utilization went up to nearly 100% again. So, but we want to see how it looked for a time span of 1 week. So on the right side, I click on 1 week, and then you see that for 1 week, this was the traffic utilization. So you can see that this one here, from April 6 to April 10, was actually pretty low, and then now on Monday, the traffic utilization went through the roof again. So this is kind of cool because from this view, we can easily generate, and by the way, this is no longer check and K. Now we're on the next tool. They are nicely integrated. This is called PNP for NegiUS. Okay, so this is the visualization platform that collects all this performance data from your devices and then displays it. Okay, from here I can generate PDF reports which are nicely themed with our department information and stuff. So you can see here IT Operations Department, University Network Systems and Performance Monitoring, and it basically gives you a nice PDF that you can send to your ISP and say, look, this is the time frame that we've been down. Obviously, you can do a lot more with this system, but I'm just going to keep it in context of what we're talking about today. If you got any more questions in regards to this, please feel free. I can't emphasize this enough. Feel free to talk to me after this, okay? There's lots of other cool stuff that you can do here. All right. So, okay, for each WAN uplink that we have, so for each internet connection, if you want so, we have a single host entry here, and that's called globe circuit, then our circuit number, and then X routing. So if I open this one, and I click on this host, you can see down here, oh, hang on a second, that's the wrong one. There we go. So, there. So I'm going to open this in a separate screen again. And this is basically the round trip time for our link right now. And you can monitor as many ISP links this way as you want. And the way you do this is you select one public IP address on the internet or a many-cast address, whatever. And you tell your uplink router, which in our case is a cloud core router, to reach this IP address only through a certain uplink. Okay? Obviously, it's not advised to use any of your public IP addresses to do that. So, okay. Before it's getting too boring, let me just show you how an outage looks like. So I'm gonna go for 1 month overview, and you can see here that these are our outages that we had in the past month. So in 4 weeks time. Globe, if you're watching that, you got to keep working on it. Hard, okay? Good. And by the way, we requested a fiber in the loop that was still not installed. That was 3 months ago. So please keep it up. All right. So this was an outage, and here you can see exactly how it started when the link came back up, and this is all automated. So obviously other solutions can do this as well. Here you have everything nicely integrated. CheckMK is mainly meant for monitoring servers. There's an agent, and how does that look? Before we move on, I show you one of our storage systems. This is the dedicated university storage for operational offices, which has antivirus and all this other stuff running. So let me just close this. So, and there's an agent running on that host, and it actually exports all this information, and everything you have to do is install the agent, tell CheckMK where to find it, auto discovery, done. And then you have the system monitored, and you don't, whoever has used NegiUS here, like the plain NegiUS. NegiUS. Okay, so who actually found it a pain to configure NegiUS by hand? Oh, very good. That's the one. That's the one, right? Well, you do not have this with CheckMK. So CheckMK in this case uses Isinga, which is a fork of NegiUS, and multi-site has a web configurator that actually takes all this pain away from you. And it looks like this. I'm just gonna click here on Vato. So, and all your monitoring needs and all your monitoring configuration, your entire network, you can put into folders and cascade them, and it's really nice. And it seems like someone actually kicked out my Wi-Fi connection. Thanks for that. If you want me to stop talking, there are other ways to do that. All right. Ah, there we go. All right, so, and as I said earlier, with multi-site, you have this main directory, and you have all these folders in there, and it looks like this. It's basically like a desktop. Let me put this into full screen again. And we have several folders here. We have one for EIT, that's a company on campus, separate entity. Then we have FU, hosted services, a bank, and our VANAP links. And when you go into these folders, you have subsequently like more folders based on their respective use case. Cameras, CCTV, routers, sensors, servers. We have 41 servers monitored with this box. Then we have 5 UPS systems, 41 switches. So that's basically all in here. And you have the full overview. Okay, so much for OMD. And if you have any questions in regards to that, please, by all means, let me know. Now I have to scroll down here. Hopefully I'm not going to give you any more spoilers. So here we go. All right. Okay. Oh, this one is tricky. This one is tricky. Okay. So how do we actually do router backups? How many of you are doing router backups the old-fashioned way by telling your router to send it to you via email? I think that's the most preferred way with routers. At least that's the only thing that I've found on the wiki so far in the past years. So how are you doing backups? So who is using the email functionality? Who is sending emails back home? Okay, okay. Good. Or not so good, I don't know. Okay, so how about FTP upload? Who's doing FTP uploads? Okay. All right, there are certain security implications when it comes to that. So usually when you do backups, you do not want your router to connect back to your headquarters to upload that stuff. Usually you want to fetch that. Really don't want to go deeper into this right now. We use a set of scripts that we actually created a long time ago, and they support OnDemand Backup, and we also use these to automatically generate address lists from what we have in our IP address management database and deploy this straight to our routers so that all our firewall rule sets that are using address lists automatically match the new IP addresses if ever something changes. For our size of network, that happens almost every day, that we change IP allocations and we move offices around and stuff. So I was really tired of adapting, like 3 or 4 firewall rule sets on different routers just in order to make that work. So that's why we came up with this, this little script collection. So, and, right, so I'm gonna show you this. I have a little demo here. The mirror screens is in the way. Let me just close this. So there we go. Where is it? Ah, there. Ah, okay. So let's just start this way. I think that's easier. So we're hosting these scripts on GitHub. We also have them internally, but this is for you, so you guys can reuse these. So feel free to take a look at it. If you see anything that's wrong, just send me a pull request so that I can update them. By all means, these are not perfect and fairly dangerous, so please watch the warning signs. Okay. So we have one folder here for the address list and one for the backup. So what I want to show you first is the OnDemand Backup. So essentially, this backup folder contains one shell script for a Linux box. Yeah, I'm sorry, we do not support Windows for that. If you want that, you have to rewrite it in PowerShell. Sorry for that. And it has an entire README in here, so if you need to know how to set it up, we put all this in here with lots of remarks in regards to SSH and multiplexing and all this other stuff that makes it really fast. Okay. Maybe you want to give me that phone. Okay. All right. So essentially what this is, I have this script downloaded. It's right here. And I hope you can, oh my, okay. Let me just see if I can get this any brighter. Wow, that did a lot. Okay. Hang on. I can do this. I can do this. So I open it for you, just for you, I open it in a graphical editor, okay? So less geeky stuff. So, okay, let's take a close look at this. We have a couple of variables that are being defined here. So we have the SSH user that we want to use in order to log in to our router, which you can't probably read from back there, even in the front, I think. Yeah. Can't zoom in here, sorry for that. Oh, I can? Can I? No, I can't. Okay. Anyway, so we have all these parameters for the SSH connection in here, and basically what this is, this script does not use username and password. We're doing SSH public key authentication. So we're using non-interactive authentication to fetch the backups and dispatch commands on those routers. It's a lot safer than using the username password authentication for obvious reasons, because it's safer, right? Okay, so we have a backup password here that will be set for all backups that the script does. You need this, this password to restore these backups, the binary backups, to those routers. And down here we have a little array, and we put these routers in there. So right now I have the DC uplink router, it's our primary uplink router, then the primary 10 gigabit router, as well as 2 of our switches. And since we don't have a lot of time, and I'm talking a lot already, I'm just gonna do a backup for one router and one switch, just to show you. And the rest down below is just the scripting stuff. All right, so let's just quickly run in here and fire this off. And so this is gonna be another session now. We're gonna show you how to configure a profile for your mate terminal, if you're interested. So we're gonna make this, how are we gonna make this? I don't know what we're gonna make this. How about, black on gray. Black on gray, that's good. It should be good for those projectors here. Ah, there. Okay. So let's see how this works. I hope it works better. Ooh. Okay. In my own defense, I didn't expect the projectors here to be, yeah. Okay. Wow. You can read this, right? Oh, this is great. Oh, we're making progress here. Okay, so, okay, let's fire this up. So the easiest way to start the script is simply by using the bash command, then basically use the script. Don't worry, it's all explained in the README. Just read it. Okay, so then I fire this up, and then you see trying. And we keep on trying. And now the backup has started. It's basically doing a configuration backup. So initially the binary backup, then a script backup, and some other goodies that I'm going to show you once it's done. As you can see, our VPN connection is blazing fast. Blazing fast. Oh. Oh. Wow. It's 13 kilobytes per second. I'm amazed. Let's just proceed with the other talk. We come back later. Okay. All right. So where was I? Yeah, custom router scripts. So, and aside from the backup script, we also export information from for our address lists on router board on our routers. So I'll do something that I shouldn't do because you can't read it anyway, but I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna connect to one of our core routers. In a while. Okay, I won't do that. Okay. Let's just go back to our IPAM. Okay, won't do that either. Oh, the VPN connection stalled away. And now it's back. Great. Okay. So, seriously, how many of you are actually using an IP address management platform, like web-based or whatever? What do you use in order to design your network, and how do you keep track of your net blocks, your subnets, and your host allocations and stuff? So, in order to do that, who is using Excel spreadsheets? Come on, don't be shy. I know you're out there. All right. Sacrifice yourself. I'm serious. Who is using spreadsheets or any kind of text version of keeping track of net block and subnet allocations within his network? Two. How about three? Do I see three? Okay. So we're doing this web-based, and we're using a tool that's called OpenNet Admin. I also talked about this back in 2014. Besides, oh, we're connecting. That's great. Okay. And back in 2014, I gave you about 40 slides, so don't worry about that. That's not going to happen. Okay, so this is our IP address administration, our IP address management. It's simple. It's very simple. It has a few knots and edges here and there, but it works. Bottom line, it works. The only thing that it doesn't support is MPLS and virtual routing tables. That's it. The rest is fully supported. So, and we have subnets and all the stuff tracked in here, right? So when I click on this, it takes another year. There you go. Great. Perfect. So we have all these subnets here, right? And you can see here visually how many IP addresses in those subnets are currently allocated. Yeah, I know. We're using a lot of subnets and not many IP addresses. I know that. Okay? But this is for future growth. And besides that, it's easier to allocate even prefixes within a network, also for readability, rather than using smaller like /28 or whatever. So, okay, so let's take a look at this. So all these subnets here contain hosts, right? And all these hosts have host names. So what we do is we take this information, we take the net blocks, we take the subnets, and we take the hosts and their respective IP addresses, and basically generate a file that can import all this information as address lists onto our router OS. And then you can start using this information on your firewall rule set, which looks pretty sleek, and it really makes a lot of sense. So, okay. So our backup is done. This is great. So, yeah. So what are we going to do here? So, right. So the... So I have to show you this address list, and in order to do that, I have to... These address lists, obviously, when they're generated, they're being saved on a web server in our infrastructure, which is extra secure. And this is where the address lists are stored. So the generation script actually generates this, this neat little output that gives you an idea if everything went well through during the last run when it was generated. And now I'm going to save the FU global address lists file, which contains basically all this information. So when you take a look at this now, and sorry again for this being so small, but luckily we have a remedy for that. And we can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, you can't see the header on this one, but you can see it here. I hope it's big enough. So essentially what we do is, what you see here is we have address lists that are being added for each network, for each net block, and for each host according to the network allocation. So host, here for example, host SRV infra, web01, and then the address. So this is basically the IP address of the web01 server in the SRV infra network. So, all right. I know this is a lot to take in, and I actually sworn myself not to talk that much today, but I always seem to get back at this because it's just too interesting. All right. Okay. So, let's So this is the address list generation script. So I just let you guys be the judge if you want to use it or not. If you need help with it, feel free to contact me or any of my team. We can help you with that. And there are lots of advices in here, why we did design it the way it is, and how to install it, how to roll it out on your router, and all that stuff. I didn't mean to make this a workshop or anything, so let's just cut this brief. And yeah, if you need any help with this, please, by all means, let me know. You find this on github.com for the user JAYDO IO, and then routerOS minus scripts. All right. So our router backup is now done, and now for each device that I have backed up via script, I have a folder here, one for the DCCRS01, one for DC uplink, and when I open this folder, I have 3 files. And this is for each backup, 3 files are generated. The first is the backup, which is the, let me just put it in compact view. No, that's not the right one. There we go. So the first one is actually the actual binary backup. The second one is an info file. And the third one is the router script. So the info file actually contains all the information that you would expect that you need in order to identify this platform without opening the script and collect it all by hand. So here we see the router name. We see the router board information, including the serial number and firmware type. So basically the architecture, uptime, et cetera, and also the CPU frequency. So essentially what this does, it does a system router board print, a system resource print, and also an identity print, and just pastes in here. So, and we do this for all our devices. So we do backups once a day, automated, and whenever we do changes in the infrastructure at the end of the day, before we leave the office, we do a final backup for the day and put it into the system log. So we actually log what we actually changed. So, all right. So yeah, this script we use in production. So if you want to test it, feel free. You just need a Linux server for it and a little bit of trickiness. You need to like the terminal in order to really embrace it. All right. So I showed you also the OpenNet Admin stuff. So now NTop NG. Well, NTop NG is a NetFlow collector and visualization tool, and it was actually covered by Cliff at 2 p.m. which is why I'm not going to talk about this much. So if you have any questions, please, by all means, approach this guy. He's actually hiding back there in the last row somewhere. So, and he looks a bit shy once in a while. Just approach him. He doesn't bite. All right. So, but I think since Cliff didn't show you how NTop really looks like in production, would you like to see it? Yes. Okay. All right. Luckily, I have a demo system that I can use, which works. So, and to answer the question from before, this is running on a virtual machine. It has 2 cores and 1 GB RAM. And yes, the components NTop NG as well as nprobe are very light. They don't really require many resources. So you can run multiple instances of nprobe on this on the machine because it only runs in memory, so it doesn't actually touch the hard drive. It doesn't generate any I/O. So here's the login. I'm just gonna log in. I hope that I can recall this. Okay, perfect. So whenever you start NTop, it runs. So okay. There are two things that you can do when you want to install NTop, and I think this wasn't clear. When you go for ntop.org, you have 2 ways of installing it. You can use the binary packages that are prepared for you, also for Windows, and you can compile the software from source. So if you know how to do that and build your own packages, then you can do that, and you have all the features except for some of the pro features, and you don't have to pay for it. But you have to build the software yourself. So, and of course you don't have support for those. So if you want support, then you have to buy. And the best part, if you're like us and you're working at a university, NTop licenses are completely free of charge for all educational and research entities. So you can get all licenses free of charge if you're an educational or research entity. That's great. That's really, really great. Ours is not licensed yet, because I just set this up together with Cliff a couple of weeks ago. We've got other stuff to do as well. So if you want to download this, you basically go for the product site, and so Under Get Started, you have these binary packages here that you can download. And there's also a package repository available. So check that out. Make sure to check it out. Very important. And yeah, there's also the packet inspection library that they developed is also open source. And it's incorporated within NTop and Probe. So you don't have to configure anything to identify these protocols. This was the question earlier as well. If you need to do any additional configuration in order to see those protocols on the web front end. No, you don't have to. The steps that Cliff described earlier are literally the steps that you need to get things up and running, obviously without fine-tuning. But that's basically it. So when you start the demo version of NTop for the very first time, then it actually runs in demo mode for 10 minutes and switches back to community. So you can test for the first 10 minutes the pro features while test driving it. So what I'm going to do now is I will actually stop this. Sorry, I got a cold. I hope that you guys don't mind. I'm sneezing into the microphone. So good luck to the next speaker. All right. So now it's basically running. And I can do a NTop NZ status. And you can see here that there's also an error for NTop Pro. So it just tells us, hey, dude, you're not operating with a license, so we only give you 10 minutes of joy. So here we go. So then when you open the interface, it looks like this. And I know the resolution is too small in order to really enjoy it, so let me just zoom out a bit. Probably a bit too much. So here on the left side, you see the top talkers in your network, including the bandwidth that they consume right now. So this is kind of nice. You see the top remote destinations. So if ever you have a botnet that's actually breeding inside your network, if you put this dashboard on a screen, on a display in your office, you don't have to do much more. Just put this up, and if ever something goes on, something massive that tears down your entire network, this system will tell you immediately. This is really nice. And you really don't have to do much more than that. So you see real-time traffic for top applications, SSL, HTTP, Apple, Google, HTTP proxy, and Quick. Yeah, well, the flow overview is also pretty interesting. So I can open any host in our network and basically see exactly what real-time connections are actually open. So, okay, most importantly, you have a network overview. So NTop can identify or differentiate between local networks and unknown networks. But in order for this to work, you got to configure NTop properly. So you need to tell NTop what are your own networks. So when you do this, and that basically looks like this. So when I do this, and this is the overview within the config file. So if I give it give NTop an option, a parameter with all the networks that are ours inside our network, then NTop will identify these as local on the web interface. It's a bit unhandy if you have huge separate net blocks and you have to keep updating this. There are better ways and automated ways to do this, but this is fairly okay for our environment regarding the size. Okay. So, and I can see exactly that the unknown network is basically internet. This is all that's outside our AS. Hey, wait, we don't have an AS, so it's outside our network, right? So then we have a few Class A and Class B. A few Class A, Class B, and also one of the Class C networks here. And you can see exactly how many hosts you have per network. And this is in real time, so how many hosts are currently active. You can click on one of these networks here, new tab. Okay, so and here you can see how much traffic was actually generated by this network. And this is aggregated bandwidth throughout your network. So sometimes you see spikes of like 15 gigabit, like with us, because we have backups running once in a while and stuff, and the 10 gigabit network is then fully utilized. So this is kind of nice as well. So and if you have subscribers, which I can't show you right now for obvious reasons, if you have subscribers, you can basically put them here in their own separate networks. You can see exactly how many hosts are online, and you can also collect other metrics on these respective networks fairly easily like this. And you see this breakdown here on the side, right? It's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th column. And here you can see the amount of traffic that is being sent and being received from a 100% scale. So in this case, you would say this is 55 Mbps throughput. Now it's bursting again. But you would say this is 80% sent. So this is what we receive from the outside, and what we actually send, what we actually send to the outside, which is received by unknown hosts, is merely 10%. So this is the usual uplink utilization that you would see on a regular link, right? So, and you can place 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, 500 nprobes around your network. It doesn't matter. Also for remote branches, and you can connect them back to the headquarter or run your own NTop instance for each location, and then aggregate the information later on using your respective database layer, like MariaDB or plain MySQL, using replication. Really nice. So here's the live protocol overview of the NetProbe, the nprobe that runs on the same host. It's still loading. We're still loading. Is there someone else speaking after me? Are we occupied? So we've got 50 minutes left. Okay. So this is the protocol overview, so you can see exactly what protocols are on your network and how much have they been utilized with a percentage. And you can also click on each protocol and see which hosts are actually using those protocols. So this is for Skype. This is also for all layer 7 protocols that you could think about. And cool is also, you can actually also identify certain protocols like OpenVPN. So, okay. I'm gonna close this part now of the talk. I hope you enjoyed the live presentation. One more word about NTop. NTop is cool. And why is NTop cool? Because you can use NTop also as a transparent firewall. Just check the documentation. You can put it into a layer 2 network and then basically filter the traffic between the network and the uplink router and say, for example, this network will never be able to use Skype. And it filters Skype and just blocks it. And you can do this on a per host, per network basis. It's very extensive. Check it out. It's really nice. All right. So, okay. He's looking good, by the way. This is really good. So, I would also like to mention some of our partners, because without them, we wouldn't be at this particular point. The university has come a long way for what we actually implemented. A lot of people have come. A lot of people have gone, have actually left us, and these partners are sticking with us no matter what, which is really, really nice. So first of all, Immerse Networks Limited is actually my company, hosted back in Hong Kong. We basically provide ICT consulting, remote hands. We also do remote branch management. We do network design, perimeter design, redundant firewall deployments, not just using Router-S, but also Juniper. We also do a lot of pfSense nowadays. So if you need anything in regards to that, please let me know. BTW Info Communications, this is our partner for fiber optics back in Dumaguete. So for all your fiber needs in the Visayas, just get in touch directly with BT. They love to do projects also outside Dumaguete. This is just their office. They have lots of projects in Mindanao as well. They have lots of projects in Kabangkalan, in Bacolod, in Bais. They're basically all over the place. And we're dealing with them for a very long time already, for a very long time. Very reliable, and the shortest time that we had for provisioning a fiber tap for one of our clients was 24 hours in downtown, and that includes pulling new fiber in. So if it's really dramatically important that you need to get a branch office online, these guys can get the job done, and we basically provide. They also provide their own ISP, so but we actually also utilize their fiber grid for providing our last mile down the town. So wireless link. I don't know if Ralph is here today. I haven't seen him so far. Yeah, we actually use Wireless Link for one of our distributors down in the Philippines. Very nice service, very great quality, nice pricing. Never had issues with them, really great. and also fast and responsive. Same goes for double square networks. They're also out here today, so you can just check out. You've seen their booth outside, so who am I kidding here? So yeah, just drop by the table. They're also very fast and responsive, and we also do some projects together. All right. So I hope I didn't bore you too much. I really tried to keep the boredom away from you guys for like 45 minutes. I hope I did a good job, and now it's time for asking some questions. Seriously? Oh, there. Hang on a second. Just get the microphone so that the people online can hear it as well.
I've seen you have monitors and graphing.
Mm-hmm.
How about using the dude on your network?
We prefer to run our stuff on plain x86 platforms and also Linux. We're very, I mean, we don't use Windows services as well. So for us, the logical way, also for platform independency or cross-platform support, the only logical way was going web. So completely for everything. And I've been with the monitoring community for about 9 years now. So I started basically with NegiUS as a consultant, and also for identity management. And yeah, well, it's just the way we do things, and it's all open source. I don't want to discredit the dude, don't get me wrong. It's just the way our modus operandi is that in education especially, that everything should be open source as much as possible. Because I have students, when they look at it, they go like, well, this is great, but I have a feature, can I just edit? And they edit, and they learn coding in a playful way as well. It's really nice. I've tried to do it, and the latest work on it looks really promising. I mean, I really didn't like it too much in the earlier releases where it was like workstation-based and there was no server implementation. Really great, it looks really great, but we have our infrastructure in place, and we have not just RouterOS devices, we have plenty of vendors in our network. And moving this all over to Dude, you can do this probably for a homogeneous network where you have really just RouterOS. But for all the rest, I know that it supports more devices, I understand that. But still, our modus operandi is we have tools in place, and they're extensive, and yeah, it's just, we know which nuts and bolts to twist in order to get where we want, so yeah. It's a preference, if you want so. Anyone else? Come on, guys, don't leave me hanging with one question. The last time it was at least 6. And there were some really good laughs in there. Come on. Let's be friends. What, that's it? There. Number 2.
Last time I've asked a question about the what they call the access control. What happened to the? You use the access control, right? For the.
Let me think.
NUC.
I'm trying to process this right now. Access control.
I forgot the name.
You mean packet fence?
Yes, packet fence.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have implemented some of it for testing, but the thing is, budget constraints have it. We have to move over our certain platforms in order to migrate everything at once. Doing this selectively is really painful in the way our network is still legacy-based. It's still legacy-based, so we still have some dead spots. So we have to work on that first. But probably by the end of this quarter, we will be ready with it. And then by next time, hopefully, I can show you something glamorous, like something really great that works and everything. And yeah, I'm hoping for it. Yeah. Over there. The man in the 40th row.
I'm just really curious about your first presentation regarding your wireless tower. Any updates about it?
Oh, and I thought you wanted to ask me how big my tower is. I was really curious. Well, it's 48 meters, and right now it's not even close to that. So here's what happened. There was, how to put this? There has been an unfortunate chain of events that has prevented us from finalizing the site. So right now 2 lengths are being installed, and we had to drop our construction work on the site. But still, we're aiming to pick it up this quarter and basically finish the site. I know, right now the site is basically almost abandoned for a year, but we always pick up the projects. It was simply, it was basically also a funds issue. I mean, really, it really takes a lot, and also a lot of effort from our workers and a lot of personnel. So, but this quarter, we're working on it. Another thing that that's probably nice to know is that Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, so basically our island, right? These two parts, Occidental and Oriental, we're in Oriental on the southern part. They were put together right now in the migration, so we're becoming Negros Island, and as such, also the government sector reshapes entirely. So, meaning we will have our own NTC office within on our island, which is now being built up in Bacolod. So in processing the paperwork and everything, there was a lot of stuff that was thrown over during the process that has prevented us to act swiftly. It's a long process to get everything done. So, and now the new team is actually settling in Bacolod, and we hope that we can, talk to them again and revisit the whole thing once the paperwork and everything is complete. So, yeah. But essentially, we had most of the paperwork done, but now it's a new year and everything. We have to redo some of the permits and stuff. So, yeah. But we're working on it, and we're definitely going to give you an update during the next MikroTik user meeting, but probably even earlier. So, over here. It's funny. Can we just go from the first row to the last? Can you just coordinate with each other so that the guys don't have to walk that fast? Oh, there. Sorry, you first.
Hello,
Hi.
sir. This is out of topic, but can I ask what content filter that you use in Foundation University? You know the
Content filter?
Yes, UTM.
Oh, that's a long story. Yeah, we built a rocket ship for that. No, actually, no. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We use OpenDNS primarily, and additionally, but this is just for the major content filtering. So this is what we impose on the entire university networks, except for our lease line clients. Those are native links that are not filtered. But additionally, for operational offices, we have restricted proxy setups. So we actually do not allow access to any arbitrary site. And we have some other self-written tools and like Perl and Perl scripts and stuff and Ruby scripts that are actually doing some reporting and that kind of stuff for us. So, but mainly OpenDNS, and that's also what our clients are using mainly. So, yes and no. Certain parts yes, other parts no. I mean, it's fairly expensive if you go down to a per workstation usage. And I'm sure that you guys know that OpenDNS was acquired by Cisco lately. So
it's very expensive. Expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. Exactly. Yeah, and another thing is that we're talking about US pricing model. We do not talk about a Philippine pricing model. So our wakes down here are different from the ones in the US or back in Europe. So I hope that they will adapt this. Maybe it's happening as I speak. I don't know. But most of our clients, they use the commercial version because they enjoy the flexibility of the additional features and all that stuff and the additional reporting. So I think he wants to talk again.
More questions about. Are you permitting students to download from Google Play, Apple Store, like that?
Well, we looked into, obviously, when you think about like an iPad program and like 1,400 iPads on campus and stuff like that, the first logical thing that you do is you think about a mobile device management platform, right? Like Sophos, or Google actually even has one integrated into Google Apps, which we use.
So you're Google University? You use Google for...
No. We're using Google Apps, not the Google Classroom. We're using only Google Apps, which is basically like email and some other services. Basically, every employee has an account, and every student an account on Google for email purposes. And from there, we don't do much more with it. But Google Apps implements a mobile device management as well that you can use to remotely wipe mobile devices. And Google Apps is free for educational institutions as well. So and also for nonprofits in general. So,
blocking blocking download applications.
Yeah. For the iPad program, what we do right now, we set up a separate proxy system that actually blocks access directly to the App Store and also to the Game Center. And then we actually deploy these applications using the supervision mode and just per iPad. That is really time consuming. Yes, yes. And we looked into Sophos, and we're getting back. It's like this vicious cycle. It's expensive, right? And you need to explain to the parents why they have to pay more money when they already bought an iPad. And you also have to explain to them why you're going to restrict outbound access because they pay for internet, and why are we restricting the students? That works up to this point where you have to explain to them that it's our obligation to ensure that students, or in general anyone in our network, cannot access specific content that's deemed inappropriate for our institution, like pornographic content, or other stuff like gambling, illegal sites. Obviously, we're using OpenDNS also to block VPN access. But we, for instance, this list that I showed you guys earlier, just real quick. When you go in this RouterOS scripts repository on GitHub, there is privately I operate a little public service for this, so you can actually use this. And there's a Tor nodes list in here, over here, Tor nodes. So if you want to reliably block Tor nodes on your network, so access to the Tor network, one more time, I'm talking in the context of the university. I'm for a free internet. I'm totally for net neutrality. I just want to put my stamp on this right now, okay? But for the university network, we cannot allow people to, for majority. We have certain cases on campus where we want to allow Tor access because we want people to anonymously use the internet. It's their right. It's as simple as that. In my book, that's their right. But for the bandwidth utilization, that's a completely different story. Or spreading specific content around campus is also a completely different story. So it's always keeping the balance, and that's not always easy. So you can use this. This actually not the node IP addresses are generated by Daniel Austin. He actually offers this on his UK website, and I basically take these lists every hour to generate this list, and you can use this updated like every 2 to 3 hours, and then you have a reliable protection to prevent users from accessing the Tor network, which is the Tor browser is the most used VPN or anonymity tool that is used within our network. So, but this is how you can reliably block it. You just have to block the majority of nodes in order to prevent the Tor browser to lock in general. So the Tor client, sorry, the Tor client. So yeah, so it's a stacked system. You cannot use only one single solution to catch it all. It's not possible. You always have to search for additional solutions.
With such a large network like yours, do you still depend on third-party DNS rather than having your own DNS hosting on your own networks besides from the one provided by MikroTik?
We do. We have two separate sets of 2 DNS servers that are redundant, and they're being provided by all the information within our IP address database. So, for instance, this is our first name server right now, and this one is actually this one is actually having a bind name server running on it. We have actually 2 for internal use in the campus and 2 with public IP addresses for our subscribers, also with IPv6 support. Yeah, I know, we're offering IPv6. We're very progressive and no one's using it, but we're ready. So, all right. Over there. The guy in the red shirt. And yeah, over here was another one, very early.
Thank you.
Basically,
my question is out of the topics. As I understood, your network is client server or server client. Do you have a plan to set up a private cloud computing?
I didn't get the first part of your question, sorry.
Okay. As I understand, your system is client server.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you have a plan to move to cloud computing or
no? Well, actually, we have computing nodes on site because we wanted to implement our own OpenStack cloud for our students so that they can actually operate their own WordPress blocks or whatever for development on site. But we're not there yet. I mean, we have the hardware and everything, but the project right now is a little bit iced because of man hours. We don't have enough personnel in order to get that done. Putting that up also requires a lot of design. We have to design a separate server rack for that. We have to design a separate secure location. The rack will be freaking heavy as well, so it needs to be a safe, reinforced concrete ground. We have to protect it whenever earthquakes are happening, all this kind of stuff. And this is really a lot of work, and rather, we don't like to implement, or me personally, I don't like to animate or motivate my guys to implement stuff that is either not used in the end, so basically cut down the footprint, and also the utilization of our team. And in addition, I really don't like to implement half-bred solutions. I really don't like that. Either we go in for the fulls or we don't. So either we do it completely and professionally or we don't do it at all. This is our motto, and this is how we actually avoid patchwork or having to implement workarounds all the time. That's the only way how you can actually do it. So over here in the front, there was another question. It's 4:20, but there's only one talk after me, right?
I remember during the last MOM, you told us that you weren't using MikroTik on your wireless because, as you said, they weren't there yet. I don't know. I forgot the exact.
Well, our preference is with another vendor, which name I don't have to.
but given the progress or the new products,
yeah, we do.
Have you tried them, and is there anything that changed on your wireless?
Right. Our main concern was basically that there were no real dual band access points available, and we actually wanted to have dual band access points with fiber uplinks, which the other vendor that I was talking about earlier, which name I rather prefer not to use, doesn't provide the same yet. So now MikroTik came up with the RBACs and stuff, which have integrated SFP slots. We have dual band, like 5 and 2.4 gigahertz. Very nice. So now we're getting there, but still $140. That's still, you know, a lot of money. So, but yeah, we want actually a few. We started with a few RB951 UI, so the 100 Mbps version, and we took these RF elements housings and for ceiling mount, and we started this in areas around campus where we didn't require so much capacity. For example, the lobbies, certain parts in the auxiliary stores and stuff like that, and it works okay. It works okay. And basically, there's nothing that prevents us from running both systems simultaneously. So, but as we're going towards of having a centralized network access control system, we had to make sure to select one that actually supports both vendors. And with Packet Fence, it supports these vendors. So, yeah, it's just, it's a mixed environment. So, but yeah, we're using MikroTik for local wireless distribution as well, slowly but surely, yeah. And on-site with our subscribers mainly as well. So when they have like 2-3 access points on one floor level, we also use MikroTik APs for that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
Last question.
Sure. More than 6.
About the alarms generated by the system, is there you have automated ticketing system created?
Good point. So now we're talking. So we have a projects platform, which is Redmine based. It's a Ruby on Rails stack. And we use this to track all our progress within our infrastructure. So additionally, we have also an email help desk here. And to answer your question, we're not sending these alerts directly to the ticket system. What we actually do is, okay, let me just quickly open my email client. Hang on, it takes about an hour. It's about 15 gigabytes, so it's a nice weather today. It's just great. So, okay. So this here, for example, this is a good example actually. So this is actually a message that was, this is actually a message that was generated by OMD. So, and this actually also includes the graph. So what this tells us here is that on the ITL-FSX switch, which is a large chassis with several redundant fan systems and all that stuff, this one actually, that the management module, which is on the Axos side, actually has crossed a threshold, and the threshold was 55 degrees Celsius. You can see that gradually down here on the, I'm always pointing at my display and I know that you guys can't see that, so let me just use my mouse cursor. So you can see here that this is going down and up, so this is basically on a daily basis, it's just going up and down based on the temperature during the day and everything. So, and it will also inform you, there's lots of stuff going on here, I think. Let me just, where is it? There. And it also informs you, when a service starts having an issue, having trouble. It informs you, so that's basically the flapping status. So if it starts flapping between a status, always crossing the threshold, going forward, backwards and forth, it tells you, hey, the service is flapping, and you can tell the system, stop annoying me. Tell me when the service is either dead or alive, right? So for most services, you can do that, and it's really, really advisable to do that, because with the temperature, it's fairly easy to say. So either things are going down, so you generates more than 55 degrees, or it stays on between 54 and 55 degrees. So then I tell the system, if it's flapping, stop annoying me. Just stop sending me emails. So, but the whole team gets notifications like this. And as a fallback, as the last line of defense, you have a cell phone or an external GSM chip that you can use in order to use the SMS tools on the Linux or any other script for that, that sends you an SMS to the respective number that you put here on the OMD contact, a number in there, and then automatically it sends you this information. So, does it answer your question? Okay. So let's close it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then the last presentation by Soragang. Soragang.